So, Gerald, can you tell us what part of Manitoba we're in, approximately?
We're in south central Manitoba, about 20 miles from the Manitoba-US border.
All right. And what have you particularly done in this particular field?
This field is a field which I purchased 3 years ago. It was under conventional management with high fertilizer and high pesticide use, a lot of GMO crops, a lot of Roundup applications. I bought it 3 years ago, and for 3 years it's been under my regenerative ag management. This year it's in a green manure crop. The crop contains 13 species of cool season and warm season grasses, as well as cool season and warm season legumes. And this crop is for the purpose of replenishing the soil, particularly the soil bacteria and fungi, or the soil microbiology in general. So the crop in about another month will be pretty much shoulder high on me, and then we'll incorporate that all into the soil in about a 6 or 8 inch layer, so that it becomes like a compost bed over the entire field.
And so, and what would you hope to actually do with this in the coming years?
The next year it'll probably be in a polycrop. We'll probably grow perhaps an oilseed crop in combination with several legumes, and our hope will be to keep the soil development, to keep the microbiology that we're stimulating and creating this year. Our hope is to keep that alive and to keep it ongoing, so that we're producing most of our fertility, our nutrient availability, through the action of microbes.
And so the compaction in this soil, it's improved dramatically, do you think, since you started working on it?
What I have here is I have a penetrometer, and I can demonstrate this. Typically in a field that has been under conventional management, there's what we call a hard pan. If we till the soil about this deep, this area right under the tillage layer is typically a very compacted layer of soil, and it's impervious to water movement down when we have heavy rain, and it's also impervious to water moving up under dry conditions. So this penetrometer has a pressure gauge on it, and I can demonstrate how we use it here. So as I put the penetrometer into the soil, the pressure gauge is rising, and you can see in this case it went up to here, it's at 400. So that tells me it only takes 400 pounds per square inch to penetrate that depth, which is about 8 inches. And so that's where the hard pan typically starts. And to go through it, oh, I'm in a hard area here. Perhaps I'm on a wheel track. This one is going harder, but once I'm through the pan, it goes down. Let's just move over to another patch here and try it here. So once again, oh, this time we went to 400 till we hit the pan, and then with just over 600 pounds, it went down. So there still is some residual. There we go. There's 400.
Mm-hmm.
And with a little extra pressure, there we go through the pan, and then it falls away. So that's typical. What you see is that about that depth there's a hard pan, and then this area is compacted soil. And once we're through that, we are able to follow through. So it's a useful little device to actually measure compaction in an objective way. The other way we'd like to illustrate this is using my favorite crop diagnostic tool, which is my spade, because my spade allows me to see much more. So if we slip the spade into the soil here and pull out some material, we'll try to knock off some of the soil here. But as you can tell, this soil, I'll hold it up against the sky here so you've got good contrast, but what you can tell here is there's no bare roots. There's soil that's adhering in layers to all these roots, so it makes a very tight mass.
So that's what's referred to as the rhizosphere?
This whole area is referred to as the rhizosphere. And what's going on here is, as the crop is taking in sunlight and through photosynthesis producing sugars, about 40% of the sugars that are produced actually become root exudates. And the root exudates, the purpose of the root exudates is to feed the microbes that are resident in the rhizosphere here, resident in these areas around the root. Dr. Christine Jones refers to these associations of microbes around the root as rhizosheaths.
Right.
And this is a very, very good development. Now this is about 8 inches deep. When I pop it out with the spade, I'm leaving some of it there, but with a good multi-species crop, you can get this development across the entire, area of topsoil. This is what you want to see. What's going on here is there's a massive action by microbes that are sequestering carbon, making nutrients available, providing fertility to the plant, producing antibiotic compounds that combat disease, and just generally maintaining the whole ecological health of the system.
And how does this system compare to, say, the neighbouring crops we've been driving past over the last 2 days?
If we would do the same kind of a dig in neighbouring crops, we would see a severely stunted root. We would see a root that is only a small fraction of the size of this. It would also be, you would also see many naked roots, or roots that don't have this microbial association. So what's going on? You don't get all these microbial benefits in those crops. You get instead a situation where you've got a hydroponic type agriculture, which is essentially what conventional ag is, where all